Azure Container Apps is a brand new serverless container orchestration product from Microsoft that, as of making this video, has just gone into preview, but it's something I'm really excited about, and I think you will be too. So in this video, I'll take a quick look at what it does, how much it costs, and where it fits into Microsoft's existing product suite. Let's go. Welcome back to our channel. My name is Chris Roberts and this is Roberts Dev Talk. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos about building microservices, then you'll know that I'm a big fan of containers. They're small, they're portable, and they can run just about anywhere. However, if you wanted to run them in the Microsoft cloud, up until now there hasn't been much choice between Azure Container instances and a full-blown AKS Kubernetes cluster. So for the past couple of years, where I've needed to run a fairly simple container environment, I've just used Docker Compose on a platform as a service offering like DigitalOcean Droplets. But now, Azure Container Apps brings a lot of the power and flexibility of a full-blown Kubernetes cluster to the serverless world. It handles the provisioning of resources, creation of certificates, scaling up, scaling down, routing, and so on of your containers for you. And the really cool thing is, because it is built on top of Kubernetes, you also have access to a lot of the very mature, very well supported open source technologies in the Kubernetes ecosystem, such as Dapper for service discovery, state management, secret management, and so on, and also KEDA, or Kubernetes Event-Driven Autoscaling. This means that Azure Container Apps will automatically scale up and scale down your containers based on a number of external events. And these aren't just Microsoft Azure-based events such as storage queue sizes and so on. This can be events from external sources such as Apache Kafka, RabbitMQ, MongoDB, and so on. Now, at the time of making this video, the product is still in preview, so the deployment options are Azure Bicep and GitHub Actions, and of course your Azure portal. Now, of course, there are other container orchestration products within the Microsoft Azure ecosystem, such as Azure Container Instances, Azure Kubernetes Service, and Azure Web App for Containers. So where does this, the Azure Container App Service, sit among all those different services? Well, ACI and AKS are much lower level services. ACI gives you a lot of control over a single isolated container. AKS gives you a full-blown Kubernetes cluster. And it would seem that Azure Container Apps sits above those as an abstraction. And whereas Azure Web App for Containers is designed to host public-facing websites and APIs, Azure Container Apps opens a lot of microservice-based scenarios that allow you to run front-end web apps and APIs, but also manage background processing tasks that should be hidden from public view. And I believe this product targets people like me who don't particularly want to manage a whole Kubernetes cluster and have simpler orchestration needs, and are perhaps already using something like Docker Compose or Docker Swarm. Now, a lot of the containers that I run are .NET Worker services that sit and process queues and items in blob storage. So I was really interested to find out whether I could lift and shift these services out of Docker Compose and into Azure Container Apps. So I reached out to Jeff Holland on the Azure team on Twitter, and he responded that yes, that this was entirely possible, and that it would scale based on the queue length. So if you drop a ton of stuff, it will automatically add instances until it's drained, and then scale down, even all the way to 0 when the queue is empty. Now, this is the absolute killer app for me, and what makes me really excited, because just to give you a little bit of background, part of my day job is managing quite a large fleet of desktop clients and IoT devices that stream data into Azure Blob Storage, IoT Hub, and a couple of other different locations. And being able to scale and process these events quickly when needed and then scale back down to 0 is a massive bonus for me. So I'll be playing with this over the next couple of weeks, and I'm really excited to see how it gets on. Now, the big question, of course, when it comes to any kind of Azure service is how much will it cost? So it looks like this is going to be on a serverless pricing model. So you pay per vCPU second, gigabyte a second of memory, and per million requests. Now, of course, your containers can scale down to 0 for background tasks. So if they're not processing anything, it shouldn't really cost you anything. However, if you have an API or front-facing web app, this is something you'll probably want to have running all the time. So it looks like there are a couple of different pricing tiers, one for when your application is processing requests and one for when it is idle. So you should pay less if your application spends more time idle than processing requests. Chris from the future here, just jumping in to say that I forgot to mention there is, of course, a free tier or a free allowance available on Azure Container Apps. You get the first 180,000 vCPU seconds, 360,000 gigabyte seconds of memory, and 2 million requests free per month. So if you don't go over that, or only just a little bit, you'll probably pay hardly anything, if anything at all. So back to the video. It remains to be seen, of course, how the pricing will work out over the course of a month or so. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that. Now you can go and play with container apps right now. It's in preview, so probably best not to use it in production, but there's a great demo over on GitHub, and check out Jeff Holland's brilliant demonstration video, which I'll link down below as well. If you're thinking of using Azure Container Apps, let me know in the comments and keep me posted as to how you get on. Question of the day: what kind of container orchestration tools do you use? Do you use Kubernetes or Docker Compose, or do you perhaps like to use Azure Functions? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, then please do drop us a like and subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching. Happy coding, or happy containering in this instance. See you next time.